We'd like to make it very clear that the government of Kenya has no intention whatsoever to close any refugee camps in the country. We know that we have had many refugees come to our country from our neighboring countries because of the problems they've been facing, of hunger and at times of war. And we know that camps such as Dadaab and others are actually really full and a strain at times to this country. But this government and this country of Kenya understands why those friends and neighbors of ours are in this country. And therefore we will not close any refugee camps or forcefully send any person back. Our hope and expectation is that with stability being realized in Somalia, is that people will be able to voluntarily go back home. We're also expecting that once there's peace and stability, we can get either the United Nations or other organizations to set up camps within the country of Somalia so that people do not have to trudge 200 miles to come to the Kenyan border to seek relief, so that within their own country they can get some relief, and when things are better, they go back to their homes. Nobody in this world wants to be a refugee, even the ones in refugee camps. If given an option, they would go back to their homes or to somewhere else where life is better. So, to the Kenyan government, especially, peace and stability in Somaliland is paramount. Kwa lugha ya Kiswahili kusema kwamba serikali yetu haina mpango wowote wa kufunga kambi yoyote ya wakimbizi iliyopo katika nchi yetu. Tunajua kwamba tuna wakimbizi wengi kule Dadaab na kwingine, na tusema kwamba tutafanya kazi ili kuwasaidia na kuwa pamoja nao, tukijua kwamba tunatarajia kwamba kutakuwa na hali ya amani katika Somaliland ambapo watu wataweza kurejea nyumbani. Tunafanya kazi na tumeshirikiana sana na kuongea na Umoja wa Kimataifa ili watu waweze kurudishwa nyumbani, wale ambao wanarudisha mahali ambapo hamna wasiwasi. Lakini hakuna mtu yeyote ambaye atalazimishwa kurudi kwao kwa sababu inakiuka sheria za kimataifa. Ndugu zetu na dada zetu wa Somalia ni ndugu na dada zetu, wako kwa shida kwa sababu kuja kuwa na hali ya ustawi na hali ya usalama na hali ya maendeleo katika nchi ya Somalia. Natarajia kwamba hivi karibuni tutaweza kupata hali ya maendeleo na ustawi katika nchi hiyo na watu wataweza kurejea nyumbani. Pia tunaomba ya kwamba siku ambazo zinakuja ya kwamba mashirika tofauti yataweza kuwa na kambi tofauti katika nchi ya Somalia. Ndio ikiwa kuna vurugu na shida zote, watu hawatembei kilomita 300, 400, 200 kuja hadi Kenya, na wengine wanaaga dunia wakiwa katika safari hizo kuja katika hali ya kutafuta usalama. Hakuna mtu yeyote anazaliwa na kusema ya kwamba anataka kuwa mkimbizi. Kwa hivyo hakuna mtu yeyote anazaliwa na kusema mimi nitakapokuwa mtu mzima nitakuwa mkimbizi. Hakuna mtoto yeyote anapenda kuwa mkimbizi. Kuna sema kwamba kuwa mkimbizi ni jambo ambalo ni aibu na la shida. Kwa hivyo tunataka kwamba usalama urejee Somalia, watu waweze kurejea nyumbani, waishi makwao, walime, wakuze mimea, wale wanakuza mimea, wachunge wanyama, wale wanachunga wanyama, waishi katika hali ya amani na maendeleo. Kwa sababu Mwenyezi Mungu alitupangia tuishi katika hali hiyo. The second issue is just a reminder of a topic that we've talked about in the last few weeks and we'll continue talking about, and this is about hate speech and corrupt officials. The government reissues its warning to all leaders who, by way of speaking during different fora, may or are planning to or will use language that can be classified as hate speech or language that may lead to inciting members of the public, that will not be tolerated. We cannot allow any politician, we cannot allow any official or anybody to incite wananchi to violence or wananchi against each other. We should make it very clear that in this country, every person has a right to live everywhere in the country. Every person has a right, regardless of your tribe, regardless of your background, regardless of your race, regardless of your gender, your inability or disability. It does not matter. If you are a Kenyan or if you are domiciled in this country, you have a right to reside anywhere in this country. So nobody should incite anybody against any Kenyans on the basis of tribe or any other basis. Women should also be respected. Our constitution is very clear, and this government will enforce so that women should not also be discriminated against, and also men, and also children. So the protection of everybody is captured in our Bill of Rights in the new constitution. It should be very clear to people, and especially politicians or aspiring politicians, that the Elections Act is very clear. People who incite others to violence or who have hate speech will be barred from contesting in the next general elections. Another cadre or another group of people will be barred are corrupt people. This country should be sailing. We should be in a different era. But corrupt people have benefited themselves at the expense of the young people of this country. We are not going to allow, as a country, we are not going to allow people who are corrupt, people who are grabbing land, people who are conning others over land deals, people engaging in issues of stealing money from corporations or money from ministries, to actually continue doing that and contesting in this country. We are saying enough is enough. We've had corruption over the years. We don't want corruption. We want peace and stability and clear people who can work. Ni kusema ya kwamba serikali inawapa onyo wale ambao wana fitina mbaya ya kuunganisha wananchi ama kuongea mambo ambayo kweli yanawachochea wengine, ya kwamba hawataruhusiwa. Nchi yetu imeshiba, wananchi wameshiba, hawataki watu kuwachochea tena. Wameshiba na hizi ghasia, si kushiba kwa chakula. Vichwa vyao na wananchi wamechoka. Wamechoshwa na watu ambao wanachochea wengine. Hawataki wanasiasa wanachochea wengine, na wale ambao wanachochea wengine hawataruhusiwa kushindana ama kuwa wamejilete mbele kuwa viongozi katika Kenya mpya ambayo tuko nayo hivi sasa. Pia wale wengine ambao wanachota mali ya wananchi, wengine wanaiba mashamba yao katika hali ya kufanya ukarabati wa kuuzia watu mashamba kwa njia ambayo haijulikani, wengine wanaiba pesa na rasilimali ya wananchi katika vikundi tofauti ama katika sehemu tofauti ya serikali, hatuwaruhusu hata kidogo. Just to finish is to talk about youth empowerment, and that the government is aware, and we are all aware, that we are facing a very major problem in terms of youth lacking employment in this country. It is very sad that people are educated and they cannot get jobs. That is why it is important for us to be able to grow the economy. When you hear about growing the economy, economic growth means creation of more jobs. And so everything that should be done in this government and future governments should focus on the youth. It is very bad for people to grow up and despair because they don't have a future. And so the youth of this country need protection. Vijana wa nchi yetu wamekaa tu kiholela hawezi kupata kazi kwa sababu hakuna kazi, kwa sababu uchumi haukui kwa njia ambayo inapaswa kukua, kwa sababu pengine watu waliiba pesa, wengine walifanya mipango ambayo ifanye kazi. That is why we say speed of development is of the essence. Hii mambo ya mtu wa serikali anaandika kabarua leo, anaweka kando, atashughulikia kesho, haiwezekani. We have to move faster so that our youth can get employment and get a better future. Basi kwa machache, naomba pengine kuna mtu ana swali kuhusu jambo hili au mengine aweze kutuliza kwa hivi sasa. Any questions on these issues or any other issue? Yes, madam over here. Tuambie jina ambao na nyumba ambao unaifanyia kazi.
My name is Nelias from the Truth Weekly newspaper. Yes. Since the parliament is back, there are some clauses which has not been fulfilled yet, especially the one for the persons with disabilities, the minority. They are saying that they are not well represented in that. They are complaining about county government and such things. What is the government doing towards the issue?
What is happening is that a lot of these things will be very clear with this new process of devolution, whereby currently there's a bill that was pushed or tabled in the House by the Vice President, and they are discussing actually devolution in our country that will soon talk about the powers of the counties, the jobs and opportunities. There was also an act that was signed by the President a while back on people with disability and all that. But in terms of representation, as you know, our new constitution is very clear. There's a quota set aside for people who have disabilities or people who have issues of disability. So that is actually taken care of. So we are going into a new Kenya. They have been left aside for a long time, and your question is very valid. So thank God we've got a very good constitution that actually caters for that. After this new order, they are not going to have that problem. They'll have their voices out there. Can you use the microphone, please?
What about the language used? There are three languages which are supposed to be used: the English, Swahili, and the gesture one. And there's some complaints that the gesture one is not taking care of the whole group of persons with disabilities.
You're talking about the sign language. Well, I think it's I think the official languages, as if I remember the Katiba, is English and Swahili. But it's also very clear that we should also have a way of communicating, of assisting people who have inability. And this is where even the media need to come in. It's not just the government, even the media need to come in with innovations of how to provide maybe what is called, what do you call it? When you're watching something and they've got the words below. Inaitwa nini? Nia mwangalengi cinema? You see graphics, unajua subtitle, unajua wengi mnanunua hizi DVD za piracy na zimetolewa vitu kama hizo, so you just turn up the volume, unasikia watu wengine wanaongea nyuma, but you know, subtitles, which is what they do maybe in countries that I've been to, in Australia, in the US, I've seen it in Dubai, whereby all programs also have subtitles so people can be able to watch, and I think that is very essential. I've seen them doing it during national holidays, and I've also seen the sign language being used during parliamentary proceedings. So that is actually used today. So if you watch parliamentary proceedings, even today at 2:30, you'll see somebody on the side actually giving sign language. So that's already been done. Any other question? Basi kama kuna swali lingine nukurudia tena kusema kwamba lazima tufanye kazi pamoja kama nchi yetu ya Kenya. Let us remember that violence begets violence. And there is no need for violence. There is no problem that any community can have. There is no problem that any person can have that cannot be sorted out by talking to each other. And talking and compromise is not a sign of weakness. We've had so much violence in this continent. We've had so much violence in this world over the last 100 years to last us many million years to come. There's no need of people dying. There's no need of people beating each other, being displaced because of politics or any other reason. We should love each other and learn to agree to disagree. You know, that is a sign also of maturity, and it's also a sign of also evolution. You know, violence, turning to people, throwing fists at each other, kushikania mashati, kugongana. You know, it's actually a sign of primitiveness, if I may call it that. So violence should always be the last thing that is taken in societies. So, you know, violence begets more violence. We know at times countries have to go to war, countries have to go and root out some people, because some people will never understand that concept. But in our country, because of politics, because somebody is of a certain political party and somebody is another political party, for you to fight just because of that is actually really nonsensical and should not be allowed. And so we ask all leaders everywhere to preach peace, preach a sense of love and unity so we could all live together. And let us remember that this is our country. If we ruin it, there's nowhere else to go. Look at what has happened to some of our neighboring countries. So tujivunie kuwa Kenya, we are proud to be Kenyan, knowing that nobody will come out from outside to fix our country. We ruin our country, we're the one who's going to live in it. If you break down your house, if you live in a house and you start fighting inside and you break down the wall and you pull off the roof, at night when it rains, you're the one who is going to get wet. Not the foreigners out there who are funding you to fight each other. Not others who are standing there funding. It is you. So you're the one who is going to end up being stupid. So as Kenyans, we are not stupid. We're very smart people. Let us live in peace and harmony so that we can all be able to create a good atmosphere for development and growth, for our young people to get jobs, and for our children to grow up with a sense of hope and aspiration. Thank you, and God bless you.